back in the arcade for another episode of the Arcade Chronicles, and today we're going to play Afterburner. Now, I was hesitant about whether or not to play this game on here because obviously this is a multicade with standard arcade controls, so we don't have the analog joystick, and so yeah, it's definitely not the authentic experience. It feels kind of weird to play it like this, but it's playable. But this game is just so awesome and so legendary, and I just wanted to talk a few things about it. It's a time in the arcades that I just remember so accurately and clearly still, and so I just wanted to talk about why this game was so cool at the time, even though I really didn't play this game that much. It was one of those games that the first few times you play it, you just get destroyed, and so I played it a few times, but never really had much success with it. So let's go ahead and get started. I just dumped a bunch of coins in here, so we'll just kind of go for a little bit, see how far I can make it. So yeah, this game came out, I believe it was 1986, and yeah, I was 15 when this game came out, and I was at that time I was living close to a mall that had a big movie theater and a big arcade attached to it, and I can remember seeing this game there shortly after it came out, and I didn't really understand the technical aspects of games like I do now back then. I mean, I read the game magazines and things like that, so I knew some things, but I didn't really understand about sprite scaling and 3D and things like that, except in the most general sense. But when I saw this game, you just knew right away that there was something was different about it. I mean, first of all, there's just so much was moving on the screen at once. Up until this point, because really, I mean, Afterburner, of all the sprite scaler games, I'm not sure which of the this era's games came out first, if it was like Afterburner or Space Harrier, but Afterburner is definitely the first one I remember seeing, and Outrun. And yeah, the thing with Afterburner was that you had never seen a game that had so much moving at the same time, and all of a sudden, like those clouds of smoke from the rockets, they fill the whole screen for a second, and it was so incredible looking. And of course, this was right after the movie Top Gun had come out, and so everyone was into fighter jets and and the fast-paced cinematography that they had used in that movie to kind of demonstrate just how powerful these jets were and fast and everything. And so this game, in my mind, just did such an awesome job of recreating that with the a combination again of, the incredible music, which you can hear right here. I mean, I love it when this song gets going. But yeah, so they had great music. They had awesome technology. Like I said, this technology, when it first came out and people would see this game, this was the kind of game that it just drew crowds. People couldn't believe how awesome it looked. Oh, and of course I have to mention too that at one of my local arcades, they had the full motion cabinet. And if you haven't seen that thing, you should definitely Google that or look it up on Wikipedia or something like that. But the Afterburner motion game or cabinet or whatever you call it, because it moved in a completely like a 3D. It was like a whatever you call it, a gyroscope or gyro something or other. But yeah, it could move like in almost a 360 degree rolls and things like that, and it just was awesome. I only played it a couple times because it was expensive, but it was so cool, and it just, this, you almost feel like this, even though most people never know what that thing was like, this game definitely was designed with that in mind. There's no question about that. I mean, part of the reason that it's got so much speed and that things, jerk around so much was because that cabinet really made you feel like you were doing it. So yeah, just really, really awesome stuff. And this again was a time when the arcades, the innovation was just coming continuously. It seemed like, you know, every month or two you would come in and there would be some game there that was doing more than what the last one had been. You know, looked more realistic or just had you know, more polished sound and graphics and everything. And this was definitely one of those games that, yeah, as soon as you looked at it, you were just like, this is the next level. Okay, now yes, here's the problem, is I don't really have a way to slow down. I don't have a throttle. But yeah, so people would look at this, and again, Outrun was also the same way. I can certainly remember that. But you just looked at this and you were like, this is the next level. They're doing something now that they weren't able to do before, because this just looks more real. All right, let's see here. Oh, this is tough without the speed controls. How many lives do we have left here? Yeah, this is where you need to be able to slow down. Oh, and these controls are not the most... Oh, he's still alive, though. I can't believe it. Oh! And again, this game is balls hard, if I can just say that. This game is very difficult, and I've never been very good at it. I've gotten better over the years. It's the kind of game where I think that most people only get as far as, oh, see, yeah, we gotta get out of the way of that thing, or speed up, or slow down, or something. It's just gonna take me. Oh, got away from it. Didn't get away from that. Yeah, that. Oh, I can remember the first time I saw that effect too. When you kind of go flaming down and then just burn out in the scenery. Oh yeah. And it was like, you didn't want to be happy that you died, but it was just like, wow, that is so cool. And like I said, it was interesting from my standpoint, because I'm so interested, like I know a lot of people on YouTube are, I'm so interested in the technology behind these games now. And back then, you know, I didn't know what any of the tricks, or not tricks, but the new advances in graphics were. Like I said, this was just massive sprite scaling. Like had never been possible before this Sega hardware started to come out. And oh yeah, oh, I got two of them now. Oh, you didn't make it. All right, I think I got one more plane here. But yeah, so this hardware was the first time that it was possible to do something like this. And yeah, like I said, you could tell that it was doing something different, but you just didn't know that it was sprite scaling. All right. Well, I think that'll do it. I appreciate you watching this and reminiscing a little bit about a cool time in the arcades with me. And I appreciate you watching, and see you next video.